If you don't start taking control of lust, then it will take control of you. If you don't understand how it's actually damaging your mind, damaging your life, then you will continue to go back, and it will start to affect your day-to-day life. It will affect your confidence. It will affect the godly relationship that you want. It will affect your career, your relationship with God, and it will continue to destroy you if you don't understand how to take control of your mind. And the longer that you stay inside of this cycle, the harder it gets over time, because you're training your mind over and over and over again to get into this quick dopamine of giving into lust. And so therefore, when you try to escape it, when you try to get rid of it, it gets 10 times harder. And so that's why when you make a commitment in your heart, so many people that say, oh, this is my last time, or they comment like, oh, this is my last time, the urge always gets 10 times harder because their mind is so used to doing. And so even if you do try to stop, it's like your mind is pulling you towards it, and then it affects the way that you look at a woman, because you've watched so many different videos on the lustful content and different things like that. It's like you can't keep your eyes on one woman. You're always getting intrusive thoughts about different women. And the word literally says in Matthew chapter 5 verse 28, if you even look at a woman with lust, you've already committed adultery in the heart. So if you are looking lustfully at different women in your relationship, then you are already cheating. So how do you expect to get the godly wife that God wants for you? How do you expect to lead her if you can't even lead yourself? And there's so many studies out there that talk about how lustful content doubles the risk of divorce rate, because you are no longer able to be satisfied with just one person when you've trained your mind that you just need all of these different videos to get any type of dopamine. And so therefore, it trains your mind to have a selfish mindset, meaning I'm going to get what I want in the time that I want it, no matter how much effort I put in. And so it trains your mind to not only look at women lustfully, but it also makes you give less effort and expect more results, making you more of a selfish person. And so how do you expect to lead others? How do you expect to get the good and pleasing perfect will that God has for you if you're not even willing to live for others? You have to understand lust is a selfish desire, or giving into lust is a selfish desire, because we're all going to get the urge. We're all going to get tempted because we're in this fleshly body. We have hormones. But what you do with those temptations show if you are actually wanting God's will, if you want to live for other people, or do you want to live for yourself? And once you show God that, no, I don't want to give in this temptation no more, I want to live for you, I want to live for your people, I want to serve others, that's when God can trust you with the wife that he wants to give you. That's when God can bless you with the business that he wants to give you. That's when God can give you his good and pleasing perfect will, as it says in Romans chapter 12 verse 2. And that's why it's so important to renew the mind, because when you give in to lust so many times, it literally scientifically renews your mind in a way for the worse. And what it does scientifically, number one, it literally hijacks your brain to always want pleasure over purpose. Because it releases so much dopamine, you become desensitized to your purpose, to achievements. That no longer is pleasurable to you. So now you no longer desire real intimacy. And that's why it's so hard to grow close to God, because you don't even crave that intimacy with God. You want something quick. And it's so hard to even focus on the word, focus on something, because you're so used to getting that pleasure. And that's why it affects relationships as well, because now you're no longer wanting true intimacy. You just want a quick dopamine rush. And the dangers of giving into lust is it desensitizes you, meaning that you need more and more and more intense and extreme type content in order to continue to have that same pleasure. And so if you continue to do it over years and years and years, it literally will get worse and worse and worse, to the point where it's even harder to even love your wife. It's so much harder to actually step into your purpose. And so that's why it's important that you stop now, because the longer that you are in it, the bigger and stronger the stronghold is going to be. And also the more that you give into that type of content, the more that your brain starts to associate that with stress, with boredom. And so that's why many times if you go through something traumatic, you go straight to that type of content, because it will start to become an automatic habit for you. You will just literally start to do it over and over and over. without even realizing it. It's like you get dragged into it. And that's exactly why you need an intentional system to overcome it. You can't just say, I'm done with it, this is going to be my last time. No, you need to be intentional with it, and you need a system behind it, because this is much more than a sin. This is affecting your motivation, your drive to go and do the things that God is calling you to do. It's affecting your future relationships. And so that's exactly why I created this 4-step process, so that you can actually take back your mind and start walking in the calling that God has for you. This is exactly what I use with my clients and also in my personal life to overcome temptation and start renewing my mind so I can start walking in the calling that God has for me. First step that I bring all of my clients through is number 1, awareness. Figure out when, where, and how exactly you end up falling into the same temptation every single time. If you don't understand, if you're not aware of when you get triggered or where you get triggered and how you get triggered, then you'll continue to fall back over and over and over, because when those 3 things happen, the war is already lost. And so that's why when I was first trying to overcome temptation, I started cutting off certain things. Like, okay, was it secular music that caused me to get these intrusive thoughts? Was I not reading the word enough? Was I not spending time with God? And so therefore, every single time I failed, it was like I was studying myself, because I knew that I was truly trying to change. And that is the true definition of repentance, is actually going towards the direction of overcoming temptation and not just staying in the same cycle over and over and over. And that's why the best way to overcome temptation is to start journaling. And that's why I have all my clients do the same thing, because when you journal, you're writing your thoughts down on a piece of paper and you're writing down how you feel in the moment. And so you can journal all throughout your day. You can journal in your notes. Anytime you get an intrusive thought or you get a feeling, you ask yourself, what caused that feeling? Where did this thought come from? What time was it? And what led me to that? And that's why overcoming temptation may be a process, because it may take a little while. It may take even a few days, but it may take a while to actually really understand where the root is coming from. But it first starts with being intentional about every single thought, every single feeling that you have, and study yourself, especially when you fall, or especially if you fall, because you don't have to. Then number 2, don't just remove it. Please don't just say that I'm getting rid of temptation. And that's why in the program, this program isn't just to overcome temptation, it's to step into your calling. Because if you just remove temptation, yet you don't have anything after that, you'll continue to go back into the same sin. The word even says it, where there is no vision, the people perish. And perishing is falling into temptation. It's falling into sin, things that will bring you towards death. And that's why the moment that I overcame lust after 7 years, that is when God started my ministry. That is when I started on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. I started posting every single day, putting all of my energy into that, and also working a job, because I knew that I had to be purpose driven in order to stay consistent. And so that's why in the program, I walk my clients through the 5-4-5, meaning have 5 goals that you want to achieve in your life right now, whether that be working out, getting a career, taking care of your health, taking care of your family, whatever it is. Have 5 goals, and then have a 4-step morning routine, and then have 5 actionable tasks, specific tasks, so that you can hit those goals, so that you can use that lustful energy that you have and put it towards your purpose. But also, when you become aware of when you're doing it, if you're doing it specifically at night, well then, now that you have this 5-4-5, this system, now you can actually work towards that in that moment. Because if you're in a productive state, it's almost impossible to fall into temptation. And so that's why I started watching only Christian content. I started watching convicting sermons before I went to sleep. And so anytime I go to sleep, I have a specific nightly routine to help me be productive. And I promise you, once you continuously do that, you will literally not have the desire to give in to temptation, because throughout the day you really don't have that desire. The only time you get that desire is when you're in a state of chilling out or scrolling on your phone and different things like that, and then you end up getting tempted. So cut off anything that may cause you to fall, and then replace it with something more productive. And then number 3, make sure you're growing out of it, because temptation isn't something that you overcome, it's something that you outgrow. And you hear all the time like social norms and different things like that, when in reality you don't just have to live by social norms. Social norms are just like normal things that people do, like brush your teeth. If you don't brush your teeth, then you're gonna be weird, you're gonna be nasty. If you don't have a clean room, then you're not in the norm. Well, you can have a personal norm. You can literally set yourself up to the point where you believe in yourself that you're such a leader, that you're called to make an impact. You're called by God. You can believe that you're a warrior. And once you have an identity so deeply ingrained inside of yourself, that's when you can set personal standards towards that identity. So a conqueror is not the type of person to fall into temptation. A person who leads his family and his godly wife isn't a person that falls into temptation. When you set that personal norm for yourself, that is when you will have the drive to say, no, I'm not going to do this. Like, you'll get up punching chairs, because that's the night I overcame temptation. That's exactly what I did, because I was fed up of who I was. It wasn't out of guilt. It wasn't out of shame, but it was because I was like, I know I'm better than this. I know I will overcome this. And I had such a faith in that I was not willing to take no for an answer. And then lastly, make sure you have accountability, because yes, you're supposed to outgrow it. You're supposed to grow into your identity. You're supposed to grow into that man that is a conqueror, that works out every day, that works towards his purpose. And iron sharpens iron. So if you have people around you building you up, people who are going to call you higher, people who are going to hold you accountable, that is when you will be able to continue to grow. And that's why I created Refined Mindset, because the moment that you get complacent, that is when the lustful urges will come. If you're not growing in any area of your life, that temptation is literally going to come for you. Think about it. Someone who hasn't healed from something and hasn't grown in that area of healing, that lustful urge gets more appealing to them. Same thing with someone who's not walking in their purpose. So yes, this is the exact system that I use inside of my program. And if you're someone who is struggling with temptation, and you know you're called to someone higher, and you're tired of letting this temptation destroy your life, make sure you book a call with me to see if you're fit for the program. Now, this isn't for anyone. So if you aren't truly ready and committed, then just make sure that you take notes and apply it. So yes, this is day 3 of boot camp, and I appreciate y'all for watching. I appreciate all the support. And if you want to support, again, the link is down below. But if not, till next time, as usual, y'all stay blessed.